friendship, you betrayed everything that I've ever stood for. You let me down!
Then why are you helping me?
Why? Do you think I care for you so little that betraying you would make a difference?
Does sarcasm help?
From the beginning of time. From the beginning of time, that's a very long story. No, not the honey. No, I'm against the honey.
I don't deserve a friend like you.
Clara, I'm terribly sorry. That was exactly what you deserved.
So many of you.
Was that punk rock enough for the punk rock doctor?
That was fantastic. Thank you. Warm welcome. Fantastic to be here.
I love you, Peter!
Oh, thank you. I love you too, wherever you are.
I have just a couple questions for you before we turn it over to the audience, because the fans are the reason that we're here in the first place. Peter, you are well known for being in Doctor Who, but you're also very well known by now for being a fan of Doctor Who yourself. Do you have any deep cuts, any gems among the Doctor Who canon that you're a fan of that maybe aren't as well known as the Daleks, as the Cybermen, whether creatures or storylines, things that you loved?
Well, I was thinking about this, and the thing that I really loved from Doctor Who is something that has vanished, and has vanished probably forever, which was the mystery of it. Right? Because when I began watching the show, we didn't know what a Time Lord was, or Gallifrey, or that the Doctor was the first Doctor, or the second Doctor, or the third Doctor, and we didn't know where he came from, which made him this mysterious and wonderful creature. And I realized that was a very sort of potent thing in the beginning of the show, and any show that runs for this length of time faces this problem, which is that you have to continually explain to the audience. They want to know more and more and more. And I kind of like knowing less. Maybe it's because my brain's smaller. And that I can't take as well. So I miss that. I miss the kind of strange mystery of Tortoise Lane and what that police box was doing there and where they came from. Because there was a time when you didn't know, we had no idea where the Doctor came from. We knew it was somewhere out there, but it wasn't even necessarily a planet. It could have just been a kind of interdimensional kind of cloud thing. So I miss the interdimensional cloud thing. But I've got my own, which I carry around.
One more and we'll turn it over to the fans. One of my favorite episodes from your run, which contains some of my favorite episodes of Doctor Who, Thin Ice, written by the brilliant Sarah Dollard, wonderful episode, but for me, I think far and away now, one of my favorite episodes is The Husbands of River Song. What happens during this very long date that they have. You get to play the Doctor as the companion. What was it like doing that Christmas special, working with Alex Kingston? What was the experience of that?
Well, it was great because Alex is great, and she's a wonderful, wonderful actress, an experienced, smart, clever, witty, and very deep actress. So I think in a way we were able to do stuff that doesn't normally happen between the Doctor and the companion, if you like, because the companions are often much younger. I'm not saying that. I am way older than Alex. But we had many things in common. And I admired her acting so much. And I think we were able to connect on lots of levels. So working with her was amazing. And also Douglas McKinnon, who directed the episode, is a wonderful director. He's just done Good Omens, and he's a wonderful director, and he had such vision such creativity that he brought to it. And also it has a sadness to it. That's what I like about Doctor Who. There's always a kind of, I always think a good Doctor Who episode should scare you, thrill you, make you laugh, make you mock the terrible special effects, and make you feel a little bit sad. So I had them all, except for the bad special effects. That's what I miss from the old show. The really terrible special effects.
If you'll indulge me just a moment, we recently lost a brilliant production designer from the Doctor Who family. I wonder, because telling people stories who work behind the scenes is the way that people remember them. Can you tell us a bit about your colleague who made the show?
Michael Pickford
Yes.
Was an incredible designer. He designed every episode of Doctor Who that I did. And he was a very, very skilled, educated, erudite man. If you saw him, you might perhaps have him down as a kind of someone who was high in the church, maybe a bishop or something like that, because he had a very elegant way about him. But he knew everything. He knew if he was here, he would tell you where these mouldings in the ceiling had to come from, and if he was in a 17th century cottage, he could tell you how the plaster had been created. And he did wonders, because obviously sometimes, you know, the great trick of being of working in television is to take not a lot of money and make it look as if it is a lot of money. And Michael was the great expert on that. I mean, obviously they had a bit of money to spend on the TARDIS, which is why they just built it, and then Matt decided to leave. So that's why I got his TARDIS, because there's no money left to give me a TARDIS. But Michael was a genius at taking what wasn't there and conjuring something amazing from it. He also designed one of my most favourite films, which is With Nail and Die. And that's Michael who's responsible for all those grotty flats and sets in there. He was a wonderful, wonderful man, and sorely missed.
Let's have a round of applause for Michael.
Good afternoon, Mr. Capaldi.
Call me Peter. Everyone call me Peter.
I never assume. I was a very late bloomer when it comes to the whole Doctor Who universe. And when I did, I was so glad that I had the opportunity to really watch some great TV. This is my first ever Q&A where I got to ask a question. So,
what's your name?
My name is Nancy.
Let's hear it for Nancy.
Woo! That's my mother's name.
Nancy.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, he already likes you.
No pressure.
Fantastic. Well, actually, your last question was a really great segue into what I wanted to ask Peter, was as the 12th Doctor, you're my doctor, and I really appreciated his sense of style. And I wanted to know, could you tell me a little bit about what those influences were in the costume design, whether or not you had that opportunity to speak with the dressers to influence that look, because you looked fantastic.
Well, the whole costume thing with Doctor Who is very difficult because there are a whole pile of people who have an interest in it. And they all need to be satisfied, and they all need to know that they feel confident about it, but they don't have to wear it. You know, and my whole thing was, you have to, when you put the costume on, feel like Doctor Who. I don't care what it looks like, but I've got to feel like Doctor Who. But I think because I've been brought up with the original Doctors, I always kind of saw it in fairly stark black and white terms. Maybe that's just because we had black and white TVs in those days. But I wanted to do something that took it back to that sort of look. And I had great assistance from Howard Burton, who was the costume designer on my first season, who was brilliant. And Howard was very patient with me, because I think he sensed that really I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do, and he had to go through all these paces with me and take me to costume houses and make sure that I dressed up in silly hats and colourful coats and all kinds of waistcoats and stuff. And I just kept pushing it all the time to go into this darker, simpler kind of look. And eventually I went to, there's a wonderful designer called Paul Smith, Sir Paul Smith in London, who does, in fact, there's in the mall here, in a couple of malls, he's got shops here in Toronto, and he's a brilliant designer, and I asked him if he would give us a little advice. And I said I wanted this very simple, so I went to his studio, and we dug around his studio, and we found a Crombie coat, and I was very keen that whatever we did would be cheap, so that people could copy it, kids could copy it, so I said, let's get a white shirt that we can just button up so a school kid could just have that. The shoes were my own Doc Martens. They were Doc Marten boots, which I wore, and unfortunately they fell apart because we were filming, and we couldn't, Doc Marten stopped making them, so we had to get really expensive ones, replacements. So we ended up with what I wanted. But the pressure was always to be colourful. And I thought that was not a good direction to go in. And that's why that's why I said, well, let's have a lining in there. But then they pushed, the coat should be black, it shouldn't be blue. You know, they said blue photographs as black. I didn't believe that really. So it came from me, really. I ended up with a lot of my own clothes. The holy shirt's mine.
Was there a David Bowie influence?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, no, because I love David Bowie, and so yeah, because he always had the little buttoned-up shirt, and the man who fell to earth, and of course David Lynch has that too, and David Byrne used to do that. These are all people who were around when I was growing up, or in my those formative years. So yeah, so that was an influence. I just wanted something a little edgier, a little kind of harder. And that's what we got. But of course, as you go on, every costume designer that shows up wants to make their mark. So they want to do something different. So you sort of have this battle all the time, trying to do what you want and satisfy everyone else.
Thank you very much. That was just super wonderful.
Thank you, Nancy. That's Nancy's first question, and the convention Q&A ever. There she is. First of many. See you later.
Huge Dr. Who fan, but I actually want to ask about the video that you did for your cousin, someone celeb.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking video.
Yeah.
Means so much to me, just the song. But if you could tell us a little bit about making the video, but specifically, I was curious, were you listening to anything in the headphones?
In headphones? No.
No, so
No.
just...
No, well, we barely heard the song. I mean, really, Lewis was absolutely amazing. He's only 22 years of age. He's absolutely fabulous. I went to see him in concert like about a year before that. I didn't really know him growing up or anything, but I thought he was fab. I was so proud, even though I used nothing to do with me really. And I went backstage and we chatted and blah blah. He's amazing. And then about a year later, they called up and said, "Would you like to be in our pop video?" I'd be in anybody's pop video. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a relation. I said, yeah, of course. So I went, and they told me the story. They worked out this entire story. It was great to act in because there were no lines. I didn't have to learn any words, but I had to try and understand the story. And I don't think I really heard the song until I think the night before. I think that we did it, and I thought, oh, that's great. I didn't know it was going to be number 14 in the Billboard charts this week and going up. And Lewis came down and hung around while we were shooting it, and it was I loved doing it because it was a really powerful story. And rather than, they could have easily just done, Lewis with guitars and stuff, but they didn't. They chose to do this, and I think Lewis' mum had been a nurse as well. So for those of you who don't know, this is a music video that a relation of mine has made. It was a very successful song that he's written. But the video we did is about organ donation. That sounds terrible. I don't mean the film is all us taking organs out of one head. It's about a man who we discover late in the song is he's listening on his headphones to something, and it's actually the recorded heartbeat of his late wife. But her heart has been passed on to somebody else, and he meets her. So it's a great, it's a great video. It's not Bohemian Rhapsody, but Thank you.
Hi Peter, I love that video too. I actually cried for like 20 minutes. But what I would like to ask you is, I really love Franz Kafka's It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm starting out as a short filmmaker, so as a writer-director, do you have any advice?
Any advice for writers and directors? Surround yourself with talented people. And do everything for as little money as possible. That might be easy for you. And the more money comes into the picture, the more control other people exercise, and the more difficult it is to get what you want on the screen. If there's not a lot of money involved, people don't care. And if you're surrounded by gifted people, they will take very little money. Like I was saying with Michael. When I did the Kafka film, I thought, I'll surround myself with people who, if we have nothing, I know that at the end of the day, they can lift a paintbrush, paint the sky, or make something. People who surround yourself by gifted people you trust and take no money.
It's not going to be about Doctor Who, it's going to be about the series Musketeer. So I wanted to know how it was to play Cardinal de Richelieu with those amazing outfits and those beautiful planes.
Well, how did I cope with them? I loved them. It's a big cloak with a red lining, it's fantastic. I loved playing with all those cloaks, and it was very hot, obviously, because we were in Prague, which was beautiful. I love Prague, but it gets very hot in the summer there. But if you look fat, who cares? The funny thing about it was the costume designer was Howard, who later designed Doctor Who. I said to him, what are you doing after this? He said, I'm going on to do Doctor Who. I said, oh, really? I said, when is that starting? He said, I'm not quite sure, he said, because they don't know when the new Doctor's available. I wonder what he's up to. Because I knew it was me, and I didn't.
You were amazing as Cardinal de Richelieu. It was amazing seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.